Dave, a point apiece, how do you assess that game today?
Certainly not our best in the first half, although, again, if you were going to come to Peterborough and you would say that you're going to concede a goal, which is quite possible in the fact that they're a free scoring team and have real threats at the top end of the pitch, to concede in the manner that we did is really, really disappointing, and I wouldn't have picked that as one of the main avenues of them causing an issue. That's on us. But we have a really good habit trait of never being beaten and going right till the end, and to get the goal that we did near the end, I think our second half performance merited that. Like I say, it's disappointing with our first half, and Peterborough caused us problems because they're a good team first and foremost, and secondly because we didn't get our press right and got ourselves and weren't close enough to each other, which caused us problems. And when you are open, then regardless whether you play with a spare man at the back, you give them space, and space is what kills you when you play against their teams. But second half, we were more aggressive with how we went about it. We obviously made the change that we did and opened ourselves up a little bit. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that in the first half with the personnel we've currently got, and would have been a stupid risk to be able to do that and open the game up too early. But I think we were worthy with our second half performance. And if you look at the players there, you look at coming here and getting a point is if you offered that at the start of the season, you're absolutely taking it. This is a good team, and we're obviously in the playoffs last year have just won the Virtue Trophy and beaten Birmingham at Wembley. So let's not be very clear. We don't have a divine right to beat anybody in this division. We need to be at our best in order to compete every single week. So the point isn't the worst thing. It's just the context of the point, and looking at what other results and where you sit, and we'll look at, I suppose, look what 3 points will have done. It makes no difference. We've got a point, and we take that and move into, like I said, the last 3 games of the season, still with everything to play for, but important that we cover and look forward to Huddersfield now.
I think a lot of people coming here maybe would have expected an open game, a bit like how it looked in stoppage time maybe, but in the first half particularly, were both teams maybe a little bit more conservative than you anticipated?
Depends what you say is conservative. They played exactly as we thought they would play, and I don't know if they, again I'll have to speak to Darren afterwards, if we played exactly how they thought we would play. We knew that we wanted to be aggressive first and foremost, but there's aggressive and then there's stupid. And we wanted to be aggressive, and unfortunately we're not having a natural right back, which hinders us, and having to play Brad there, because if we had the possibility or if we had the potential, we may have started a little bit differently in terms of our shape and in terms of our personnel, definitely. But we knew that with Fraser back there and Ollie back there, we needed to defend with a +1. So we were 5v4, which means that you're pressing at the top end of the pitch -2 with the goalkeeper. So your press has got to be right. We didn't get that press right. That then means the middle of the pitch opens up, and we didn't get close enough, and we give them too much space. And as much as they've got runners, space ultimately kills you. And they caused us problems by the spaces being too big. We went and took a calculated risk in the second half, and probably went to a shape and a personnel that maybe suited what we wanted to do more in terms of our game plan, and straight away we got more pressure on the ball and forced them back when they had the wind in the second half. So yes, the game became more open and the game became basketball-y, but we're chasing. On the flip side of that, what it did do is give us opportunities, but our quality wasn't good enough, and it wasn't good enough all game, regardless of whether we deserved something in the second half, especially in the final third. Thankfully, one bit of quality gets us an equaliser, and we'll take that and look forward to Monday.
The goal you concede is obviously the individual error from Ethan Pye, but it's the more disappointment in terms of how he's ended up in that position in terms of dealing with your own set piece.
It's a culmination of errors. Our set pieces were poor, delivery was poor, and movement in terms of what we'd worked on didn't happen. Now we can take and we'll take responsibility for that, but ultimately players need to do their jobs. We've then got 2 players who are responsible at the edge of the box to make sure that doesn't come out, who again, neither do their job, and then Ethan makes a poor decision. That's a not let it bounce, get it off the pitch as quickly as possible. We knew that, again, when you defend it against these from corners, they mix it up. Sometimes they leave one up the pitch, sometimes leave two, sometimes leave three. We knew we were always going to be man for man. So they were leaving three up the pitch, we were leaving 3v3, and taking that risk. They're taking a risk in the fact they're leaving wider open spaces in the box, and we didn't capitalise upon that. We're then undone by, like I say, a poor decision from Ethan. That he's got the ground listen, he'll learn from that, because he's ultimately a good player and will go on to play a lot higher than this. If he does, then again, as much as it's disappointing as it is today, it'll be better for us in the long run.
Two changes at the break certainly made a difference, and particularly thought Jay Mingy had a really positive 45 minutes, having obviously not played a lot of football lately.
Yeah, and listen, we're limited because that's probably all Jay's got in him at the moment. And with Noyley not being right, he did some running before the game, but isn't quite right. We knew that we were going to be man for man, and when you're man for man against Poku and Odu and Keane Hayes and Conclaw and them types of players, when they come up Mothersill, then you need to be able to move, you need to be able to run, and we knew that we weren't going to be able to open ourselves up too early. But with all of a sudden, when you look at what was a back three in that second half, and it's Ethan, Brad and Jay marking man for man, they can all run, which allows you to, I suppose, take chances and play man for man. We wanted to keep Ollie on the pitch, because as the game gets stretched, then he can become a bit of a dictator for us in front of those three, and that turned out to be the case. We've just got to make sure we build Jay up in particular and get Noyley back as quickly as we can, to give us the options to be able to go in different ways. At the moment, because of, I suppose, where we are with our injuries, and we've got some coming back, we're a little bit restricted, we're a little bit dictated to by who can play, I suppose, what minutes in order to get us through a game. So as much as I would have, like I say, loved to have started slightly different and at the start of the week, that was something that we had planned. With, like I say, the position we're in with some players, we're not able to do that.
This stage of the season, it's all about players stepping up. Jack Diamond's been that man for you the last couple of weeks in terms of goals. Frustrating afternoon for him at times today, but I guess credit to him as well as the team for keep plugging away. Yeah,
very frustrating, and that's, again, if I'm giving you a criticism of Jack, that's it, because what he hasn't done over the course of the season is do what he did in the last minute often enough. What he has done is done lots of the stuff that in the middle of the pitch, where he does something brilliant and then makes a mistake, gives the ball away, and he just needs to improve on that. We spoke about this with Louis to a certain degree. If you're a forward player and a winger that's playing high up the pitch, we want you to dribble, and we want you to take people on. But we want you to do that in the final third of the pitch, where you get end product as a consequence. We don't really want you to do that in the defensive third, or at times in the middle third. Or there may be opportunities to do that. What you have to be in those 2/3 of the pitch is reliable. So if you have to track a runner, if you've got to defend 1v1, you have to be reliable. If you've got to retain the ball for us and give it to someone else in order to get you up the pitch, you have to be reliable. And they're the bits of the game that frustrate everybody, not just me, because what we have seen in the past 2 weeks is that he strikes the ball really well with both feet, and when he's in and around their goal, he causes as many problems as what their forward players cause us in his directness, his running ability, the ability to go either way, and the fact that he can strike the ball. So he's on a little bit of a good run in terms of goals, which is great, because I've always speak to him about numbers and say that's important. Just now, that reliability part in the middle third needs to improve if he's going to go and become really consistent and become a better player, because that's the bit of his game that if he gets right, he can absolutely move forward and still be not only a big impact for us, a big impact for himself moving forward.
Point more or less secures that playoff spot now with the goal difference advantage that you have. I know you're looking and trying to push towards those top two places and get involved in the talk of automatic promotion, but it shouldn't be underestimated what an achievement that is for your team.
Yeah, but we've got to this point, and no one's patting themselves on the back or anything. Now we are where we are. Regardless of what happens, whether we're in the playoffs, not in the playoffs, it doesn't matter. We're going to win the next game. So you've got yourself to the point where doesn't matter what's happened previously. You're now looking at a point in the season where there aren't many games to go. You want to win as many as you can, and there are some big games further down the line. So in terms of not underestimating our achievements, that's something that comes further, like I say, further on. Hopefully that achievement is a huge one, and one that really ticks boxes in terms of our objectives. And if it's not, then listen, it's all right. Like I said to the players there, I'm not. I've said to you, I'm not a great winner. I'm a terrible loser. But I understand where we're at. I don't expect us to win every game. I expect us to give ourselves the best chance to win every game by performing and being us. And if we'd have not got something in the back end of the game there, I was all right with large parts of our second half performance. There were other bits where I think we can do better. There are other bits where you just don't want to go that extra yard, either tracking a runner or going in for whatever it might be, that at some point, whether it be this season, whether it be further on in your career, what you don't want to do is sit down and have any regrets. And as long as we have no regrets, then, like I say, I'm comfortable with that, because I know that we'll give ourselves a real good shot at finishing the season on a real high.
Appreciate your time, Dave. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.